Imagine this. It's the middle of the Arabian desert. The sun is burning. The air is heavy. And on the horizon, an army is coming. Not a small army. Not a tribal skirmish. A full military force. Thousands of soldiers. Armor flashing. Weapons ready. And at the front, a war elephant. Yes, an actual elephant. Marching toward the holy city of Mecca. Toward a city with no walls. No standing army. And no fortresses. Just merchants. Pilgrims. And families. By every rule of ancient warfare, Mecca should have fallen that day. It should have been crushed, looted, and possibly erased from the map. And yet, it wasn't. Instead, something happened. Something so miraculous, so unexpected, that more than 1,400 years later, people are still talking about it. This mighty army wasn't defeated by soldiers. Not by swords. Not by arrows. Not by generals. But by birds. Tiny birds. Carrying tiny stones that were the size of chickpeas and lentils, one in each of their claws and one in their beaks. This is the story of the event that quietly reshaped the destiny of Arabia. But before we get to flying stones and divine intervention, we need to rewind, way back, to a time before Islam, before empires collapsed, before the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, was even born, to a fragile desert world, where one ambitious ruler decided to challenge Mecca, and learned the hard way that some places are not meant to fall. Welcome to Ancient Odyssey. If you love stories from the ancient world, make sure you subscribe, because today, we're stepping into the year of the elephant, and the day Mecca was saved by Allah. Picture Arabia in the 6th century. No skyscrapers, no borders on maps, no capitals with marble palaces, just sand, mountains, oases, and scattered communities trying to survive in one of the harshest environments on earth. This was not a land of empires. To the north, you had the mighty Byzantines. To the east, the powerful Persian Empire. To the south, wealthy kingdoms in Yemen. But Arabia itself? It sat in between them all. A giant crossroads, ignored by empires, yet quietly essential to them. Because if you wanted spices from India, silk from Asia, perfume from Yemen, or luxury goods from Africa, chances are, they passed through Arabia first. And that meant one thing: trade. Trade was life. Caravans crossed the desert like moving cities. Hundreds of camels. Dozens of merchants. Weeks on the road. Every journey was fraught with risk, due to the threat from bandits, sandstorms, and drought. One mistake, and you were gone. So people organized themselves the only way they knew how. Tribes. Not countries. Not nations. Tribes. Your tribe was your passport, your police force, your insurance policy. Without it, you were nobody. If someone attacked you, your tribe responded. If someone insulted you, your tribe took revenge. This was honor culture. Pride mattered. Reputation mattered. Strength mattered. And weakness? Weakness was dangerous. Now, in this world of shifting alliances and fragile peace, there was one city that stood out: Mecca. Not because it was big. It wasn't. Not because it was rich. It wasn't, at least not at first. But because it was trusted. Mecca was neutral ground, a rare thing in tribal Arabia. Fighting inside the city was forbidden. Bloodshed near its sanctuary was taboo. For centuries, tribes respected this, which meant something incredible happened. Merchants felt safe there. Pilgrims gathered there. Caravans stopped there. Money flowed there. Quietly, steadily, Mecca became a hub, a desert neutral ground. No army, no empire, just reputation. And at the heart of this city was a building that everyone knew, even if they didn't live there, even if they had never visited. A cube-shaped structure, simple, unassuming, and ancient, the Kaaba. At first glance, you might not make much of the Kaaba. No towering columns, no golden rooftops, and no massive statues. Just a simple, cube-shaped structure, stone on stone, sitting quietly in the middle of Mecca. If you walked past it in the 6th century, you might not think much of it. And yet, this was one of the most powerful buildings in Arabia, not because of how it looked, but because of what it meant. According to Arabian tradition, the Kaaba was ancient, very ancient, long before Islam, long before Mecca became a trade hub. People believed it had been rebuilt by Prophet Ibrahim and his son Ishmael, a house dedicated to the worship of one God. Over time, though, that pure monotheism faded. Arabia became mostly polytheistic. Tribes brought their idols, their symbols, their local gods, and they placed them inside and around the Kaaba. By the 6th century, the Kaaba wasn't home to one god. It was home to many. Some sources mention over 300 idols. Each tribe had a stake in it. Each clan felt represented, which made the Kaaba more than a religious site. It was political, economic, social. Every year, during sacred months, tribes from across Arabia gathered in Mecca. They came to worship. They came to trade. They came to negotiate alliances. They came to settle disputes. Imagine it. Thousands of people. Tents everywhere. Markets buzzing. Poets reciting. Merchants shouting prices. Mecca turned into a massive seasonal festival. And at the center of it all was the Kaaba. If the Kaaba was safe, Mecca was safe. If the Kaaba was respected, Mecca was respected. If the Kaaba fell, everything fell. Trade would collapse. Pilgrimage would stop. Neutrality would vanish. Mecca would become just another tribal town. And the Quraysh tribe, the guardians of the Kaaba, would lose everything. Their status, their income, their influence. So protecting the Kaaba wasn't just religious. It was survival. Now here's the irony. Mecca had no army, no walls, no trained soldiers. Its protection depended entirely on tradition, on shared belief, on the idea that no one would dare attack the house. For generations, that belief held. No major ruler challenged it. No empire tested it. Until one man decided. He didn't care about tradition. He didn't care about taboos. He didn't care about centuries of respect. He saw the Kaaba not as sacred, but as competition. And competition, in his world, was meant to be destroyed. His name was Abraha, and his story begins in the south. Far south of Mecca, beyond the empty deserts, beyond the caravan routes, lay a very different world. Yemen, with green valleys, seasonal rains, and terraced farms. Compared to Central Arabia, it felt like another planet. For centuries, Yemen had been home to powerful kingdoms, rich from trade with Africa and India, connected to the wider world. And by the 6th century, it had fallen under the influence of a rising African power, the Kingdom of Aksum, based in modern-day Ethiopia. The Kingdom of Aksum was Christian, ambitious, and closely connected to the Byzantine Empire. And ruling Yemen on Aksum's behalf was a man named Abraha, not a king, not an emperor, a governor, a general, a military strongman. He had risen through the ranks. He had proven himself in battle by defeating his main rival, a man named Ariat, and earned the trust of Aksum's rulers. And now, he controlled one of the most important regions in Arabia. From his capital in Sana'a, Abraha watched caravans move north, carrying gold, spices, incense, and textiles, all passing through Arabia, all eventually flowing toward Mecca. And he didn't like it, because power follows money, and money was bypassing him. Mecca, a desert town, was becoming more influential than his wealthy province. Furthermore, Mecca wasn't Christian. It wasn't even aligned with Aksum. It was independent, neutral, and untouchable. To a man like Abraha, that was unacceptable. He wasn't just a politician. He was deeply religious, a committed Christian ruler in a mostly polytheistic land. And he believed he had a mission: to spread his faith, to strengthen his influence, and to redirect Arabia's spiritual and economic heart. So he came up with a bold plan. Not a military plan. Not at first. A religious one. If people wouldn't come to Yemen, he would give them a reason to. He would build something so magnificent, so beautiful, so impressive, that it would overshadow the Kaaba itself. A rival sanctuary, a new sacred center, one that pointed south, toward him, toward his kingdom, toward his power. And so, with the backing of Aksum, unlimited resources, and absolute confidence, Abraha began his greatest project. A building meant to rewrite Arabia's map. A building that would soon trigger a chain reaction, leading straight to war. Abraha didn't waste time. He built a massive church. Not just big, but magnificent. It had towering walls, polished stone, ornate carvings, and imported materials. Some sources say its interior glittered with gold, silver, and decorations from Byzantium. It was unlike anything Arabia had ever seen. This church had a name: Al-Qales, a word linked to the Greek ecclesia, which means church. The church was also called Al-Qales because it was so tall, and because if one looked at it, their headgear might fall off if they tilted their head backwards. And Abraha wasn't subtle about it. He sent messages across Arabia, to tribal leaders, to merchants, and to pilgrims. The messages varied, such as invitations, announcements, and declarations. Why travel to Mecca, he was saying, when you can come here instead? Why circle an old stone cube, when you can worship in splendor? In his mind, it was a genius plan meant to redirect pilgrimage, redirect trade, and redirect influence. All roads would now lead south, to Sana'a, to him. But Arabia didn't respond. People kept going to Mecca, year after year. Caravans still stopped there. Pilgrims still gathered there. Markets still bubbled with activity. Al-Khaleh stood there, beautiful, empty, and that stung, badly. Then something happened, something that would have enormous consequences. According to early Islamic historical traditions, a man from Arabia, often described as connected to Mecca, traveled to Sana'a, entered the grand church one night, and deliberately desecrated it. Some reports say he defiled it by relieving himself in it and running away. Others say he insulted it publicly. According to other accounts, a group of young men from the Quraysh tribe entered the building and started a fire on an extremely windy day. Thus, the fire spread very quickly, and the grand building collapsed to the ground. Whatever the case, it was an act of humiliation. A message: we don't accept this. We don't respect this. And we're not abandoning the Kaaba. When news reached Abraha, he was furious, not mildly annoyed, not irritated. He was enraged. This wasn't just vandalism. It was an attack on his authority, on his religion, on his ambition, and on his pride. In his mind, Mecca had insulted him, and insults, in the ancient world, were often answered with violence. So Abraham made a decision, a final one. If Arabia wouldn't come to his sanctuary, he would destroy theirs. If people wouldn't abandon the Kaaba voluntarily, he would erase it. No Kaaba, no pilgrimage, no prestige, and no competition. He would march north, with his army, with his power, and with something no Arabian force had ever faced before: war elephants. Once Abraham made his decision, there was no turning back. This wasn't going to be a raid, not a warning, not a show of force. It was going to be total destruction. He began assembling his army. From Yemen, from allied tribes, from Aksumite forces. His army consisted of veteran soldiers, experienced commanders, and men who had fought real wars. Not desert skirmishes, real campaigns. And then, there was the centerpiece, the weapon that would terrify Arabia: the elephants. According to some narrations, there were 9 elephants in total, while in other narrations, there were 13 elephants in total. Allah knows best. One elephant in particular stood out, the largest, the strongest, the one placed at the front. Later traditions would call him Mahmud, an enormous African war elephant sent to Abraha by a Najashi, the king of Aksum, particularly for this expedition. The elephant towered over camels, dwarfed horses, and shook the ground with every step. According to accounts, their intention was to use this huge elephant to demolish the Kaaba. Their plan was to fasten chains to the pillars of the Kaaba and then place the other ends around the neck of the elephant. They would then pull the elephant to tear down the walls of the Kaaba. Most Arabs had never seen an elephant before. To them, it looked like a living fortress, a moving mountain, a creature from another world. Psychological warfare, before the term even existed. When rumors spread, panic followed. The march itself was brutal. Hundreds of miles, through deserts, over mountains, and across hostile territory. Supplying such a force was a logistical nightmare. But Abraha pushed forward. Along the way, some tribes tried to resist. Small groups, local warriors. They were crushed, quickly, effortlessly. According to tradition, one leader, Nufail bin Habib, was captured. Initially, Abraha wanted to execute Nufail. However, he chose to forgive him and took him as a guide to show him the way to the land of the Kaaba. Others surrendered without fighting. Word spread. No one can stop them. By the time the army reached Central Arabia, it had become unstoppable, a rolling storm of steel and muscle. And Mecca still had no army, no fortifications, no backup, just faith and tradition and hope. As Abraha's forces moved closer, they began seizing property, confiscating livestock such as camels and sheep, including, as fate would have it, 200 camels belonging to Mecca's most respected leader, a man named Abdul Muttalib, the grandfather of the future prophet Muhammad. Peace be upon him. Abdul Muttalib was tall, handsome, respected, and calm. The chief of the Quraysh tribe, the guardian of the Kaaba, a man known for dignity and wisdom. If anyone could speak to Abraha, it was him. According to accounts, Abraha sent an emissary named Hanada al-Himyari to enter Mecca, commanding him to summon the leader of the Quraysh to him. He also commanded Hanada to inform the leader of the Quraysh that Abraha won't fight the people of Mecca unless they tried to stop him from destroying the Kaaba. Hanada went into the city of Mecca, and people directed him to Abdul Muttalib, to whom he conveyed Abraha's message. Abdul Muttalib replied, "By Allah, we have no wish to fight him, nor are we in any position to do so. This is the sacred house of Allah, and the house of his friend Ibrahim. If Allah wishes to prevent Abraha from destroying it, it is his house and his sacred place to do so. And if he lets him approach it, by Allah, we have no means to defend it from him." So Hanada told him, "Come with me to meet Abraha." And so Abdul Muttalib went with him. When Abdul Muttalib reached Abraha's camp, word spread fast. The leader of Mecca is here. The guardian of the Kaaba has come. Soldiers, comprising of foreign troops, African warriors, and Arab auxiliaries, watched him, all staring at this tall, dignified man walking calmly through their lines. No chains, no fear, no hesitation. He was escorted into Abraha's command tent. Inside, power was on display. Guards with spears, officers standing alert, banners hanging from poles. And in the center, Abraha, seated on an elevated throne, armored, confident, and surrounded by authority. This was supposed to be an intimidation chamber, a place where enemies felt small. But something unexpected happened. When Abraha saw Abdul Muttalib, he was impressed because Abdul Muttalib was a large and handsome man. According to early historians, Abraha stood up, stepped down from his throne, and sat beside him, not above him, beside him, a rare sign of respect. Through interpreters, Abraha spoke first. "I expected more resistance, more anger. What do you need?" Everyone in the tent leaned in. This was it, the fate of Mecca, the fate of the Kaaba, hanging on this conversation. Abdul Muttalib replied to the translator calmly, "I want the king to return my camels, which he has taken from me, which are 200 in number." Abraha blinked, then frowned. He then told the translator to tell Abdul Muttalib, "I was impressed by you when I first saw you, but now I withdraw from you after you have spoken to me. You are asking me about 200 camels which I have taken from you, and you leave the matter of the Kaaba, which is the foundation of your religion and the religion of your fathers, which I have come to destroy, and you do not speak to me about it." But Abdul Muttalib wasn't finished. He looked straight at Abraha and said, "Verily, I am the owner of the camels. As for the Kaaba, it has an owner who will defend it." Abraha replied, "I cannot be prevented from destroying the Kaaba." Abdul Muttalib answered, "Then do so." Abraha, strangely moved, ordered the camels returned. 200 animals, given back. No ransom, no conditions. And with that, the meeting was over. Abdul Muttalib walked out, back through the ranks, back toward Mecca. He had secured his property. But more importantly, he had placed the fate of the Kaaba where he believed it belonged. Not in human hands, not in political deals, but in divine protection. That night, he told the people of Mecca to leave, to take shelter in the surrounding mountains, fearful of the excesses that might be committed against them by the invading army. Morning broke over Mecca. Quiet, unnaturally quiet. No merchants, no pilgrims, no voices. The city was empty. Its people had fled into the surrounding hills, watching, waiting, and praying. Meanwhile, outside the city, Abraha prepared to enter the city of Mecca. He prepared the enormous elephant named Mahmud. His army then turned the elephant towards the Kaaba. Remember Nufail bin Habib, the leader who was captured by Abraha? According to accounts, Nufail approached Mahmud and stood next to it, taking it by its ear, and said, "Kneel, Mahmud. Then turn around and return directly to where you came from. For indeed, you are in the sacred city of Allah." Nufail then released the elephant's ear, and it knelt, after which Nufail bin Habib left and quickly ascended the mountains. Mahmud had led armies before. He had crushed enemies before. He had never hesitated. Until now. He knelt, planted his feet, and refused to move. Handlers pulled harder. Nothing. They shouted. Nothing. They struck him lightly. Nothing. The elephant would not take a single step forward. Then something strange happened. When they turned him away from Mecca, toward Yemen, he walked. Toward the east, he walked. Toward the south, he walked. But toward the Kaaba, he knelt down. Frozen, like an invisible wall stood before him. The soldiers grew uneasy. Whispers spread. This isn't normal. Animals don't behave like this. Something's wrong. Officers barked orders. Force him. Push him. Make him move. They tried everything. Ropes. Prods. Noise. Still. Nothing. Mahmud stood there, refusing. In ancient warfare, signs mattered. Omens mattered. Bad signs terrified armies. And this felt like a warning. Some soldiers shifted nervously. Some muttered prayers. Others laughed it off. Superstition, they said. March anyway. Abraha wasn't about to turn back now. He had come too far. He had invested too much. So he gave the order. Advance, with or without the elephant. And just as the army began to reorganize, just as the first ranks stepped forward, something appeared in the sky. Small, distant, moving fast. At first, it looked like clouds. Then, like dust. Then, like birds. Hundreds, thousands, filling the horizon, flying straight toward them. And in that moment, every soldier realized this was no ordinary morning. Allah had sent against the invading army birds from the sea, like swallows and herons. According to Bin Abbas, they had snouts like the beaks of birds and paws like the paws of dogs. According to Ikrimah, they were green birds that came out of the sea, and they had heads like the heads of predatory animals. The sky was filling up. From every direction, the birds flew in tight formations, not drifting, not wandering, coming straight at them. Soldiers shaded their eyes. What is that? Where are they coming from? They're everywhere. Then the first stones fell. Tiny, hard, sharp, not arrows, not spears, pebbles, but not ordinary pebbles. According to the Quran, they were stones of baked clay. Sijil. Each bird carried them, one in its beak, two in its claws. And when they dropped, they didn't bounce. They struck. Men screamed. Helmets cracked. Bodies fell. Wherever the stones hit, they burned through flesh, through armor, through bone. Panic erupted. Formations collapsed. Commanders lost control. Orders vanished in the chaos. Soldiers ran, tripped, fell over each other. Some tried to shield themselves. Some threw down weapons. Some froze, paralyzed with fear. Allah describes the event in the Quran in the following 5 verses. Have you not seen how your Lord dealt with the companions of the elephant? Did he not make their plan go astray? And he sent against them birds in flocks, striking them with stones of baked clay. And he made them like eaten straw. The entire army was in complete disarray, reduced to ruin, like crops after a fire, like leaves after a storm, like straw chewed and discarded. This wasn't a battle. There was no back and forth, no heroic last stand. It was sudden, overwhelming, final. Men dropped where they stood. Others fled into the desert, only to collapse later, wounded, diseased, and dying. Abraha himself, according to tradition, did not escape unharmed. He was struck. His body deteriorated, piece by piece, limb by limb, until he barely made it back to Yemen, where he passed away. The greatest army Arabia had ever seen was gone, without Mecca lifting a sword, without a single defender stepping forward, without a wall being touched. The Kaaba still stood, untouched, majestic, and victorious. And the world would never forget that day, because after that day, no foreign army ever tried to attack Mecca again. Its reputation was sealed, its status elevated, its protection legendary. And within a short time, something even bigger would emerge from that city, something that would change world history. In ancient Arabia, people didn't count years the way we do today. No numbered calendars, no official dating system. Instead, they remembered time through events. For example, they might say, the year of the Great Drought, the year of the Tribal War, or the year of the Flood, and above all, the year of the elephant. That's how powerful this moment was. The failed invasion became a timestamp, a reference point. If something happened before it, you said, before the elephant. If it happened after the elephant, it marked an era. And in that same year, a child was born in Mecca, quietly, without ceremony, without announcement, in the household of Abdul Muttalib. His grandson, Muhammad, peace be upon him, later known as Muhammad bin Abdullah, the future prophet of Islam. At the time, no one celebrated, no crowds gathered, no prophecies were shouted in the streets. He was just another orphan boy in a tribal society. His father had died before he was born. His mother would pass away when he was still young. By every social standard, he began life with disadvantages. And yet, looking back, Muslim scholars have always seen symbolism here. The Kaaba is protected, Mecca is preserved, and in that protected city, the final messenger is born. It's as if the stage was being prepared, cleared, and secured for what was coming. After the year of the elephant, Mecca's status skyrocketed. Its prestige grew. Tribes spoke of it with awe. God protects that place, they said. No one can touch it. This made the Quraysh tribe even more influential, more trusted, and more central to Arabian life, which meant when Muhammad, peace be upon him, would later begin preaching, he would already stand at the heart of Arabia, at its commercial center, at its spiritual crossroads. The message would spread from the strongest possible platform, from a city no one dared ignore. So the story of the elephant isn't just about the destruction of an invading army. It's about preparation. It's about timing. It's about foundations being laid for the coming of the holy prophet of Islam, Muhammad, peace be upon him. So, let's step back for a moment and look at the full picture. A powerful governor, a massive army, war elephants, imperial backing, facing a small desert city, with no walls, no army, and no weapons. By every human calculation, Mecca should have lost. And yet, it didn't. Not because of strategy, not because of diplomacy, not because of luck, but because of the protection from Allah Almighty. After this, no empire dared challenge it. No ruler tested it. It became untouchable. And that protection created the space for Islam to emerge, for a new civilization to rise, for ideas that would travel from Arabia to Africa, to Europe, to Asia, and beyond. And if you enjoyed this journey into the ancient world, make sure you subscribe to Ancient Odyssey. Inshallah, I'll see you in the next Odyssey into the ancient world.